Morning, it's the 14th of April, Thursday morning. Lads are working today and then they're having all weekend off. Well, Ollie's on call if we get drilling at Latham, but bloody hell, they've had some sort of cloud bursts there, so we just can't get on. So we're just waiting for land to dry out before we can direct drill it, because yeah, it's quite sad underneath, but all in all, what we've drilled so far is coming really well, really pleased. Sprayed a lot of our T0 fungicides with some herbicide and growth rigs and all sorts in quite a concoction really. And got a very pleasant surprise in our wheats. I mean, this is quite, I won't say poor sand, but light sand. All on here, and Christ, it looks really promising. On the lower land here, that's all right and all, that was very late drills, so yeah, all in all, very clean, and like I say, very promising. So yeah, we aren't skimping on out, we're just going to carry on regardless, and if we have to pay, I don't know where nitrogen's going to be next year, but we'll sort of cross that bridge next year, like. Don't know. I was just having a ride around with me, a walk around with my trusty trowel just to see what's growing and what ain't, and if there's any slug damage or on some of this spring corn. I mean, this field here, it was a false seed bed to get as much blackgrass to grow as possible, and we've just gone straight, we've mucked it on top, and then drilled our spring oats straight into it, and to try not to put any more light to them fresh blackgrass seeds. Whether it'll work, but there's no showing at the minute. There's no greenery starting to grow, but that's our finished product. That's what seed bed we've got. You can see the muck on top. I mean, that'll disappear in time. Worms will pull it in and weather will sort it out right down. We're just sort of seeing if we say that's a seam. Oh, there's an oat. It hasn't germinated though. Worm there, look. Ah, yes they are, look. Can you see that? That's an oat germinating. So, you would like to say in another week we'll be green over. But I can't see no slugs activity on top, and any rubbish in this field as well before we sprayed it off didn't have a lot of slug activity anyway, as in being chewed, so that's an indication and there ain't a problem here. Right, we'll go and have a look at barley next door. See, barley, this is next door field, that long field. This was same procedure, but this hadn't had any cultivation whatsoever. The barley's starting to show. The barley must have a hell of a lot more vigour. You see, drilled on similar date. I think maybe that was a day before. So that just proves the barley's got a hell of a lot more vigour than the oats. Yeah, it's growing well actually. A few wild oats have come though, look, they're bloody wild oats. So, which ain't a problem in barley, because we can take the wild oats out. These two are terrible for wild oats. What's caused it, I don't know. Been having a bit of bother with pigeons. Bit of seed on top, but I don't think they're doing any harm. My dad came yesterday with some scarecrows, but I don't think they do any harm. But there's been a nice drop of rain. It's quite sticky underfoot, what'll really give it a kick. And there's plenty of moisture downhill, so I mean, once it gets its rooting and starts to find the moisture, it should be all right, you know, because we've suffered terribly this last few years with drought in these fields. We're going working them up, making them loose, losing out moisture by preparing a seed bed. The next minute it's a dry April, May, and they've droughted off or germinated and died, and we end up with now. In fact, we've had some disasters in this field, and I don't know, my ambition is to sort of bring it round into one of our best fields. That's why it's one of our worst fields. It's 23 acre. It's 23 acre. We've got some terrible land in Barn, which we're putting in an AB8 scheme for wildflower rich mix for insects and one thing or another, which hopefully will breed insects what will be beneficial for me fields round and about, using as few insecticides as possible, because we think we're killing all the good as well as the bad. So yeah, and this is my ambition, to make it into one of our better fields, and I think it's possible, because I think in the 3 years we've been prattling about with it, the structure of the soil is better. Let's see if this is growing. But slug problems, I mean, you can still see slug pellets. Oh, it's clarty hard stuff like. Can't find any bloody seed. See, there's a seed. And it has started to germinate, you see. Look, that's a barley. What's yeah, see, seeds there, and it's all germinating. So slugs don't seem to be at it at the minute. So whether my slug pellets have done a bit of good, I don't know. But we're very guilty of getting that busy that we neglect a field, and we end up coming back to it in like a week's time, and the damage is done. The slugs have had it. As it's germinated, the slugs have just totally grazed it off. So what I make a mental note, and sometimes write things down because my memory's terrible. Mental note of right, keep an eye on this, keep an eye on that. That's why I'm here this morning. See, that's a bloody seam, what ain't real covered up. There's loads of worms in the bottom. See, it's germinating. Oh, it looks like something's been eating that though. Well, that slug's had a bit of a fill on that. God, it's clarty, you know that. See there? See there is the seed. He's growing. His mate next door is growing. So, let's hope. I think I've made a little bit of a rod for my own back in this field though. I don't know if you follow me, but I've had a few, 2 or 3 cover crop experiments. That was my own mix of just oilseed rape and oats, quite a heavy seed rate. And then this was a bought mix of white radish, all sorts of stuff, ryegrass, fodder radish, stubble turnips, couple of vetches. There wasn't as much foliage with this one as the oats, but both scenarios on this type of land, it's quite bodied land, it's created quite a slug problem. So I don't know how it'll affect the next crop. I have put slug pellets on, and they haven't been washed away. They've been on a week, well, 4 or 5 days now, so they'll be doing a bit of good. But I have learned, don't use brassicas on heavy land. If brassicas on heavy land, all you're doing is causing a slug problem. I round up that bit of the field off a lot earlier than the rest of it, and it was better to drill. They want the slugs, so I'm thinking desiccate it earlier. And I've heard of this aliopic, is it aliopic? Where this rotting foliage, such as here, affects your next crop. Gives off a toxin, especially with oats, gives off a toxin what affects your next crash crop. So that's an indicator, you know, should have sprayed it off a lot earlier. So, but you live and learn, don't you? I mean, I've learnt a lot. I mean, I've only been off down this path. We started 4 years ago with a couple of experimental fields, and they've paid off, and I think it'll come that I would say a load of meal coming up. Moses wagon on the road coming to us, desperately short we are, pig food. Yeah, I've already been going down this route 4 years, and we've got 1 and 4 year no-till, and I tell you what, it's transformed it. It's just so cheap to farm. I wouldn't say any better yields, I wouldn't say any worse yields. In fact, I would say better yields actually. We just favour spring oats on that, on them fields. There's only 2 at Latham, not a massive area, about 25 acre. And they've done really well, and they aren't it's costing very, very little to farm. So we think it's maybe the answer on some of our poorer soils. And I think I was worried about a wet harvest. I think once you've built that structure, I think the structure will carry you whatever the weather. I mean, one of them where it just keeps raining and raining, yeah, you maybe will make a wheeling or 2, but it seems very, very solid, does our land, what we've no-tilled for a year or 2. But very porous, if that not paddled, porous. You know, and if you dig into it, there's loads of like voids where old roots have been, worm channels, natural sort of drying and you know, drying in summer where it's created some cracks and one thing or another. So I think it's improving our land. God, them buggers were a bit close, weren't they all? I wonder if they waved out windows. Say up, mate, like tractor drivers do. He's off to Geneva. Where's he off, Al?
He's off Geneva.
Who?
Him. From Edinburgh. He's off LAX from Frankfurt.
Everyone's off away today. There's bloody vapour trails all over. Lucky sods. I'm off spraying. It's like Oliver says though, it's my career choice. Is it full yet?
No, don't scare me.